Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World. This video is actually going to be a brand new series on my channel where I'm going to be reviewing some historical fiction books for you. I read a lot of historical fiction when I was younger. When I was a teenager, I read quite a lot of Philippa Gregory's, for instance, but it's been quite a while for me to get back into the rhythm of reading so many. So now that I am reading quite a few, I thought it might be interesting to do some reviews for you. So starting off, I'm going to chat to you about Falling Angels by Tracy Chevalier. Now, I picked this up because this book, I was told, was about the women's suffrage movement, which, as you know, I love. I love reading about the women's suffrage movement. And also, Tracy Chevalier, I heard was meant to be a really great author in terms of historical fiction. Now, this book is set the very early part of the 20th century, just after the turn, January 1901, and then we go through different time periods, different months and years, and most of this is kind of set in a graveyard, and it's about these two families, slightly kind of opposing families / neighbours, really, and that's kind of what it's about, really. I thought this book was okay. I didn't love the writing, I didn't love the setting. Even when it got to the women's suffrage part, I wasn't blown away or anything. I thought it was okay. To be honest, I found it a bit boring. So I'm sorry to say that I didn't love it. And as to start off, not a great book to start with. I wasn't interested in any of the characters or even the storyline. When it got to the suffragette bit, I was like, no thank you. So yeah, wasn't a big fan, and to be honest, I don't really have any interest in him picking up any of her other stuff. I know Girl with the Pearl Earring is meant to be her best, but I don't think I'll bother reading it. I may watch the film at some point, but yeah, I don't think I'll pick up the book. Then I have a very well-known one at the moment. This is Bridgerton. This is the first book in the series. This is The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. So this is from the series Bridgerton, which is huge on Netflix at the moment and broke lots of records for viewing figures. And this is a historical romance. So this is a Regency romance set in the Regency period. I don't know why so many romances are set in the Regency period. It's quite a dark period, really, in terms of our economy and stuff like that. Anyway, this is the first book in the series that accompanied the Netflix series. And if you haven't watched it, if you don't know what it's about, Bridgerton is about the family called Bridgerton, and they have children, and each child goes for a name of the alphabet. So we have Anthony's the eldest son, then Benjamin, Colin, and then the eldest daughter is Daphne. And Daphne, in the book, it's slightly different in the series, but in the book, she's been out a couple of seasons, and she and the Duke make this kind of pact together that they're going to pretend that they're kind of courting, so it helps to catch the eye of other men, because other men want what they can't have. But then you can probably guess what happens, can't you? Or you might have seen it. I really enjoyed the TV series. I felt very mixed about it, but generally I did enjoy it. And so I was kind of really hoping for the book, but do you know what? There's so many problematic things. First of all, the writing style. It feels very much that Julia Quinn kind of picked it up, put it down, picked it up, put it down, because there's some really long, complicated words that I had to look up quite a few times at the beginning, but then by the end, the writing style is so simple, and I don't get why it's complex at the beginning and then simple at the end. I just kind of didn't get that part. The biggest thing for me, the disappointment, is there is a scene both in the book and in the TV series. I think they should have just took out the TV series, really, but there is a scene which there is some sexual assault taking place, and I was quite confused when I watched it, to be honest. And then I read the book and read the scene, and I was like, what on earth? It is shocking, because there's no ramifications for Daphne, who did the act. And I was like, what is going on? Yeah, I can't believe that scene was in that at all. Yeah, I was shooketh to my absolute core, and yeah, really changed the whole dynamic of the book for me. So I wasn't a fan of that. And generally I just think this book is such a shame because, as I said, quite enjoyed the TV series, so I was hoping that I was going to enjoy this, if not more, but I didn't. The TV series, that scene, they kind of dumb it down a bit, they change it a bit, and it's not as bad. It's still bad, but it's not as bad. And then you read this and it's like, what on earth? Yeah, so I don't know if I'll carry on with the series. I think I'll see what the next series is like, TV series, and if I like that I might pick up that book, but that scene shocked me. So the book is definitely not as good as the series. Let's put it that way. And then last but certainly not least, I have this beautiful vintage book of The King's Wife by Ursula Bloom. Now, I came across Ursula Bloom from the British Library Room Writers series because she writes under the name Mary Essex. I read one of those and I wanted to read more of her stuff, and I came across this beautiful historical fiction book. I love it. I'm going to put pictures up on my Instagram, so go and check out my Instagram, links down below so you can see it in greater detail. But this is a historical fiction book about Jane Seymour. Oh, I should actually say my copy is signed. Anyway, yeah, historical fiction book about Jane Seymour, which I really like because you don't get much about Jane Seymour. It's in 2 parts. Part 1 is when Anne is queen, and we have a few flashbacks to when Jane is a child, and actually her and Anne playing together, because they keep saying, oh, my cousin, my cousin. It's like, oh yes, thank you, get that. And then part 2 is when Jane is queen up to her death. Spoilers, Jane does die. It's not really a spoiler, all these people are dead, let's be honest. I really liked it. I mean, there is some historical inaccuracy, of course there is. It's to be expected, it's romanticised, and I think we have to remember that this book was published in 1951. And in 1951, historical fiction generally was quite romanticised, certainly not to the degree it is today, although I would still suggest that it is romanticised today, just not to that great an extent. But I did really like it. I think it's beautifully written, and I do think, of course, it is biased towards Jane rather than Anne, but I felt like Ursula never quite got either of them. I don't think she quite got Jane or quite got the character of Anne for me, but oh, I feel like she absolutely nailed Henry completely. And I have no idea why this book is out of print. I think it's better than a lot of modern historical fiction. I mean, it's better than both of these stuff that I've just spoken about, much better than them. I want to read you a little quote actually from the book. This is what I mean about she captures Henry. Tell me this isn't Henry, because let me tell you, this is Henry. Curse all the women. This is their fault, thought Henry, who was a genius at putting the blame onto somebody else. Yes, he was. I feel like she really got under the skin of Henry VIII, and I love it. I thought this book was wonderful. I can't wait to read some more by her, and highly suggest you try and find some for yourself if you can. I do have a couple of others there ready and waiting for me as soon as I finish this video, but I wanted to chat about this first. So yeah, love it. Yeah, really recommend it. And also, I would like you to recommend me some historical fiction, please. Some really good historical fiction, please, because this is definitely a mixed bag. But I do really enjoy reading historical fiction, and if you could recommend me some great ones, that would be good. Thank you very much. Right, that is it for this video. I look forward to chatting to you in the comments, and I shall see you soon for my next one. Bye for now.